So here's the duplicator, where he's turning these spindles, which are a set of 800? 900 and some odd pieces. So there's the spindles, which he's using his duplicator, but for today, he's going to turn these by hand. But these little gems are his eggs, I guess, Matt?
Yeah, eggs.
So this is Matt Davidson. He's going to give you a brief description of, we're undecided if it's segmented or not, but how we actually got to the egg shape with this piece. You'll see it.
So some of this stock, I have a source to be able to get 20 quarter curly maple, cherry, mahogany, and plain maple. And I won't throw any scraps away, and I wanted to be able to do something with those two pieces of 20 quarter. So I decided to make these eggs, just something I saw on Pinterest, I think. But anyway, with my 16 quarter stock that I have, I wanted to make 5-inch eggs, so I wanted to add something to it. So this is hard maple. I picked out some nice green poplar, and I've got some figured walnut, and I just glued it on in layers. The important part is to make sure that the centerpiece is perfectly square and it's perfectly centered. That way, when you finish turning it, all these little panels come out almost the same size, and the spacing comes out the same size. But it's a real simple way to get something nice. And I had my daughter print out from the computer 3, 4, or 5-inch eggs for me. And then I just measured them and drew some lines on there and made some measurements, and that's how I get as close to the egg shape as possible.
They're dead on.
all these are done by hand. Once I got going, I could turn an egg in about 5 minutes. There's a little dowel on the top of the egg and on the bottom that goes into the stand. And some of the stands are one piece, obviously some of them are 2-piece, but they're just doweled and glued together. I had about a dozen of them. I sold a bunch, and I have a bunch of these blanks over here ready to go. I just don't have time because I'm turning
900 pieces. Okay.
So jobs going on too.
Hey, Mike, do you want to unmute everybody and does anybody, Mike's going to unmute everybody. Does anybody have a question on the eggs before we jump to the demonstration that he's going to be doing? I think these were pretty unique. I was intrigued by them, but if anybody has a question before we get to the demo as far as the eggs are concerned. That'd be a no. Okay, so everybody's good with that. So it's just about 7 o'clock. What do we got for participants, Mike? 18. So we've got 18 participants, and we'll go ahead and take a look at his Powermatic and the setup that he uses, which normally he would do these on the duplicator, but today he's going to do these the hard way or the old-fashioned way. I'm not sure which you would call it. Yeah. There you go. Yep. So you need to see, if you need to see what you're doing.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I've been turning 30 years, pretty close to it. Before I got my duplicator, I would turn everything by hand. Duplicating leads are expensive, but I got a deal on that one that I can pass up. So I got that maybe 10 years ago. And that saves a lot of wear and tear on my hands and things like that. It's much easier to do big runs on that. But yeah, I used to do everything by hand. So this is the baluster that we'll be doing. And when I have square piece that there's gonna be a square left on either end. I'll draw my lines on here first. I'll square them from a sample. I'll do 4 or 5 pieces at a time, and I'll rough it down so it's almost round, but I can still see my lines. When I have a piece that's all round, I'll do a layout stick, and as it's spinning, I'll just put it up and mark it. So I turn these pretty quick. That's about 1300 RPM. And yeah, I'll start with my rough and gouge. I'll stay away from the square corners and rough it out real quick, and then I'll go in and cut the square shoulders. So this still has some small flats on it, but that way I can see the lines while it's spinning. This is my square shoulder cutter. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. And then I don't know who is at what level. So if I explain things a little too much, don't be offended. Just try to help everybody out. But I'll cut my square shoulders in. Clean out that extra stock. And then I'll rough out some material just to get rid of some stock before I start my details. So now I'll just go along, I'll mark all these details out, the flats, the beads, posts, and whatnot, do all my roughing first. With the deeper cuts, I'll make 2 or 3 cuts with the parting tool because once you get so deep, it'll start to bind and heat up the tool. 1/4 or 3/8 in. I'll use my rough and gouge to get rid of most of that stuff. I'll get the depth on my codes. Then I get this difficult detail. I can't make anything easy. There's a bead with a flat next to it, right against that square. Kind of nerve-wracking cuts. Now I do my all my beads and my codes with my spindle gouge, 3/8 spindle gouge. For bigger turnings, I'll use a bigger gouge, but I don't use my skew for much. There's a guy doing videos on YouTube, in his name. He does everything with the skew, and it's absolutely amazing. And I tried, and I just that's his way, and that's great, and this is my way. Right? I use my spindle gouge for all my beads. This is a homemade steady rest. Just use rubber skate wheels. Get rid of a lot of that vibration. When I keep my hand on here, it helps keep the vibration down. It also helps me to feel the shape. Make sure there's no bumps.
that clutch there is almost like a steer where it's going backwards.
Yeah.
The way you're going backwards is
Not
you're
really,
up and down.
not really supposed to go backwards, but I do.
Yeah. No,
If I keep my thumb here, it keeps the tool from catching and going back. Yeah. I had a set of spindles that I was doing for ferry boat restoration, and my duplicator was down. I had 350 of them, so I'm like real thin, each and quarter. They were about 2 feet long. So I turned them by hand, and I had them down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds a piece. Also, when I keep my hand on there, I can tell when the flat's gone, obviously. So these details that are pulled out in there. And that's it. It takes about a minute to sand. Normally I would have a mask on and earplugs. Right. And these are they're mahogany, but they're paint grade. They're exterior, so I don't go much past 120 when I sand. Obviously, if it was for furniture or something, I'd go up to 220. This is the worst part to sand. You notice the band-aids? They're real knuckle busters. And this is clean core paper. Sure you're familiar with it. Comes on a roll. And I double it up. I fold it. So I can use both sides. So it keeps down the heat. But the friction gets it's pretty hot. When you have a double layer, it doesn't go through quite as much.
But the wood is dry. Right.
Right. Yeah. Now I will turn my back just to get this in detail. And that's that, and I'll sand the squares with my orbital sander.
You always get that little bit of fuzz, but that comes right off.
15 minutes. So with that being done so quick, do you have time to spin one of those eggs? Can you make one of the just the egg part?
Yeah, yeah, I'll do an egg. Yeah. Let me just break all this down and I'll do an egg.
And then we can check on the question and answer on that.
But yeah, this is all I did. I had my daughter print this online, different sizes, and I just made my measurements and I go with that.
I'll just hold this. This is my layout. If I can where my pencil is. I've got about an inch of excess stock in the room. I just gotta pick it up. Well, that's just 120. I'll go down to, 220 with that. And then I use that polish to rub on and you rub it with a cloth, it heats it up and it melts right into the
exactly what it's called. So that's reference. Here, go-to tool. I use it a lot. A lot. I've never seen it used so much. Yeah, it needs some more sanding, but measurement, yeah, basically just a 1 inch graph. Yep. Yeah, pretty much 1 inch, 3/4, whatever the size of the idea is. Yeah. Yep. It's fun. So when I'm not turning for a living, I get to do fun stuff sometimes. Yeah. Do you have any questions on the egg or any questions? Hey, Jeff, are you still?
There's so many cables. Yeah.
How's that? Any better? Does anybody have any questions, or are we still having audio problems? No? Go ahead, I see you waving. Yeah, I can't hear.
I unmuted everybody.
Yeah. Oh, he's still muted. So you need to
You zip on the end yourself.
unmute yourself. We've put that option out there. You can now unmute yourself. No? Nope. Nope. Says the host has muted everybody. Would it be on this one, Mike?
Unmuted.
Okay. Can you hear me? Guess not.
Nope, go ahead. We got it now. We got it now.
Yes, we can hear you.
There you go.
Is he going to hollow that out at all?
That's not a hollow egg.
Okay.
That's only, so
Just decorative.
But-
Yeah, there'll
but-
be a dowel at each end right
to put it together, he'll put a dowel on each end.
Okay.
So it's a solid object. It's not a hollow form.
Okay.
All right. But when he does the spindle, I assume.
Well, the waste that's on there will get turned into 2 thin dowels.
Yeah.
And they'll get drilled into the base.
Okay.
And the finial.
Mike, how do you determine the walnut thickness and the poplar thickness?
Say that one more time, Roland?
The walnut and the poplar,
Yeah.
the thickness, the wall thickness, is that 3/4, both 3/4? It looks like one is a half inch, one is 3/4.
They're actually much less, Roland.
Yeah, the maple started out at about 3 3/4, and I wanted to finish out at 5. So I just took the difference and split it in half, and it ended up being about 3/8 each. I drew it out on a piece of paper with a compass and had a square and figured it all out ahead of time. And then I just write down all my formulas, if you will, on a sheet of paper, so I don't have to do
Okay, so your maple was 3 1/4, 3 1/2?
about 3/8 thickness. And and the walnut was about this. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the maple was 3 3/4,
Okay,
and yeah, the other two were about 3/8 thick.
because that would make a very nice box.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you
And
don't
then
have to go-
I can cut my pieces before I glue them all together, and then all my grains will match up perfect.
Right. Yeah.
And then I can hollow them out and turn it afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And to save on materials, and I don't know if you noticed when I had the original blank, I don't go all the way to the ends with the pieces that I glue on, because it's all going to get turned off anyway.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
Try to save on the stock.
And that piece of paper you got, that's graph paper? The paper that your daughter drew the drawing on?
No, it was just a plain piece of paper, and when it printed, it just had the outline of the egg, and then I just put my lines on there.
You put your lines with numbers?
What's
It looks like you have numbers on them, 2 dimensions?
Yes, I put my dimensions on there, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
that's good. That's a nice job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I was just wondering if, how you use your hand in the safer way on when you were using your hand to balance your tool.
Yeah, it just,
No, it's that safer, that's more of a experience.
yeah, I don't want to promote doing that because I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I have been turning for 30 years, so it's something that it's second nature now. I don't even think about it. You know, I know how fast the piece is spinning. You got to keep the tool rest far enough away so your thumb doesn't get caught in there. But I can't really turn without having my hand on there. It's just part of the way I do it. I want to squeeze it too hard because obviously it'll burn your skin. But from me having my hand on there, I have calluses on my hands. And, you know, if I turn all day with my hand on there like that, it gets real. It's like a shine on it, just from the friction, you know.
See, I never saw someone do that before, so I was wondering.
Oh, okay.
Probably not one of the safer practices.
Probably not. Yeah.
I figured that. I mean, putting your hand on a spinning object is never really that safe.
Yeah. Goes under the category of don't do this at home.
But I think, again, after 30 years,
Yeah.
you know, you probably know the wood better than the wood itself.
But yeah, like I said, it takes the vibration out. Your hand will absorb some of the vibration. I can feel the shape. If there's any bumps, I can clean it up. But I'm also, like I said, using my thumb to guide the tool. So it's not just my hand that's running the tool, but my thumb is guiding as well. So it's really 3 different purposes.
All right. Well, thanks.
Anybody else have anything? Okay. So with that said, I know we started a couple of minutes early because it seemed like we were on board there. So I just want to go back to where we started for the people who might have came in a little bit after this announcement. The school has given us permission to reopen the classroom. But we've already had a demo lined up for July, so we're going to go ahead and not take advantage of that for July. So we're going to plan on some type of a soft opening for the August meeting. So the August meeting will be held at the school, and Mike Cotton is working on a formula to Zoom that out. So if you're not comfortable going to the school, you can still go to the meeting without going to the school. The other thing I want to do is add a date in July, and it might not be the 9th, as somebody pointed out, there's a conflict there. But I'd like to send out an invite for everybody to join in for a Zoom meeting to talk about what they feel would be a safe approach for each individual to come back, whether that's masks, social distancing, maybe staying in the cafeteria, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to leave that open for discussion at a different time and have a meeting just on that topic so that when August rolls around, we want everybody to feel as comfortable and as safe as possible.
So, I mean, you've got time, if they're interested in seeing the populate run, it's up to
Would that,
you.
so we've got a little bit extra time. He could set a spindle on the duplicator. Does anybody have any interest in watching that duplicator? How that's set up and how that actually works? I see a couple of nods. All right, so we'll throw a quick,
It takes like 5 to 7 minutes.
yeah, we'll go through the setup, how it's actually set up, versus, that was only about 12 minutes to do it by hand, so the duplicator can't be much faster than that.
It is.
All right, so we'll move the camera over, we'll take a spin at his duplicator as well.
I just got a, I just looked up the date for that virtual symposium.
Oh, okay, yes,
It's July 10th through 12th.
okay, so the 9th, so July 9th does work. That was the initial date that I picked out to have the meeting about the school. So I'll keep that date, July 9th, 6:30. Anybody's welcome to voice their opinion. And even if their opinion is we shouldn't be in the school, we want to hear that opinion as well. So whatever your opinion is, give us some time to talk. And, you know, we want to hear it both ways, pros and cons, to make what everybody feels safe. So give that some thought. I'll send out another invite for that. And that'll be on the 9th of July, about 6:30. That's a Thursday as well. So we don't need the power, right? Let me do the camera on that.
Hey, Rick, could you pick a different day besides the 9th?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, because that's the CNU meeting.
Oh, that's the second Thursday of the month.
The 9th is the second?
Second Thursday of the
Okay, then
month.
that's not a problem.
Okay, if it
Good
is,
job.
let me know. I'll change it.
Oh, no, it's the 9th. So there's 8 days before that. So we're
Correct.
good to go. Thanks.
All right. So what do we got here, Matt?
So this is a Hatfo, that's the brand name, duplicator. It's got 2 cutters. They're spring loaded. There's a follower back here. And I have to turn a sample to put in. And then, and I'll show you once it's running.
Which is, so you've got your sample there.
Got the sample here, yep. And with this machine, I can't turn those square shoulders because it's a V-shaped cutter. So if you can see, this has got a radius corner on it. So the sample has a radius corner on it. I've got to turn those square shoulders by hand. So there's a tool rest here so I can stop the carriage and do that as I go. There's 2 cutters with a smaller spindle with less material coming off. I can run both cutters at the same time. But because it's removing so much material, I've got to do 3 passes on this valve to get rid of the material. You want that piece of I got it. It's over here. Because I'm going to turn on the 3-phase. It's right up against on the side of that. Oh, yeah, I got it. Yeah. Now, I kind of need to run the dust collector. Is that going to?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
All right. Just let me know when you're ready. You need a clamp to hold that plywood down. Clamp it down a bit. So this is a 3-phase machine. So I've got my 3-phase converter over there, so that's running. And I'll start up the dust collector. But basically, these controls on this panel run the carriage, run the spindle. I can't just let it go by itself and do its own thing. I've got to slow down on the drops so it doesn't tear out, speed up in certain places. So I do have to kind of work with it as I go. It's not a high-tech CNC machine or anything like that. Anyway, yeah.
run these, I'm running these at 2,000 RPM, so it makes sure along. The first pass just basically takes the square off. Go back to the next one. Do that again.
Could everybody put you on mute so we don't see people that, I don't need to see you sitting in your chair. So just put it on mute for now.
So because this only has 2 cutters and we can give you 3 passes, we've got this little block that's in between this stop. So I like to give you 3 passes instead of 2. Down at the bottom, there's one section that's really deep. Too much material to take off. 2 passes. So it doesn't give finish, and it's not bad. But because the cutter is at a 90-degree angle, instead of level like you do when you get turning, it's not shearing, it's kind of, yeah. But I mean, it's not bad. And it just takes 2 minutes to, so it's a little rougher than yeah, so just see that like it takes about a minute to see it. And I'll sand the blocks and local. And then I got big on the table saw because I've got a taper I've got to cut on the bottom of these bottom rail. So I can do probably 5, maybe 6 in an hour. All right.
Cool. All right. We'll unmute everybody again. And then, you know, if you have any other questions, other than that, we'll head back to Providence or Cranston and Cumberland.
I'm going to hit that.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Anybody have any questions? Anything at all? Okay. If there are no questions, I'm going to take the camera and just look at some of the other detail work of spindles that he's done. You probably saw him in the background, but I'll give you a close up of those, and then we'll wrap this up. Oh, okay. Yep. And he made a couple of canes. We'll take a look at those too. But I want to show you the spindles on the walls hanging, and then we'll take a look at those as well. Go this way if I go that way. So here's a great example of the different styles that he's done. All sorts of different things. The machine under the wraps, we're not going to get into that, but that's for making the spirals.
It's a legacy ornamental mill.
Okay, different.
Kind of like a metal lathe, but for wood.
Yep.
It's almost
Yep.
like piece of threads.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see some of the hanging ones. We'll go this way, and then we'll take a look at the canes as well. Yep. I don't think there's any that he hasn't done. I'm gonna
If you
say.
go to the other side and look at that set there, I'll explain that.
All right.
I know it's a little dark. This particular set was for a house in Maine. There were 9 different styles, 15 different species of wood. So with the alternations, I didn't do the same one twice in the same species until I got to 150. Wow. And each one of these had a number on the set of plans, and I had the number stamped at the bottom, so they put each baluster exactly in the right spot. Wow. All had to be done by hand because they're all different lengths. Yeah, it was crazy.
Right.
Very, very interesting job.
Yeah. Nice. All right, we'll go this way. We'll take a look at his canes. Didn't see these before.
Yeah, I brought them up when you guys were setting up. Yeah, these I've gotten into. I've got a friend of mine who buys quite a few of these from me. I'm gonna market them. This whole pile, there's over 200 blanks here, are all gonna be canes. But some I'll glue up with a strip in the middle. This is Curly Ambrosia spalted maple.
Wow. Hard to come by.
And yeah, a friend of mine had 2 huge trees cut down and he milled it up. And he actually did a floor in his house with this stuff. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is a frame box elder.
Yep.
I got a big stack of this. I just bought a whole truckload of it, literally from a guy in Connecticut.
Yep.
So that's, I love using that stuff. But this is, you know, this spalted maple here. Real crazy stuff.
Really great. Yeah,
Ambrosia.
yeah.
You know,
really nice.
um,
A whole palette of,
this palette,
soon to be,
it's mostly curly maple.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of curl in it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a stair company send me a batch of maple blanks for paint grade balusters. And this is what they sent me.
Wow.
So I used my own plain maple.
Yeah.
I kept the curly.
yeah.
I couldn't believe they were gonna paint that. I